Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is the Hammered Airsoft Smith. It is fucking beautiful out. Holy shit. It is so nice. Oh, viewers discretion is advised, too. Whatever. I'm going to be doing an Airsoft version of the M9 versus 1911 ongoing, forever, argued, fucking, whatever, versus, okay? Everyone talks about it. That's in like into guns or whatever, even airsoft, and it's just something that started in the 1970s when the U.S. armed forces were like, oh, you know, maybe we should get a new pistol, pretty much. And there was like 6 hours. There was a few other pistols that were in competition, along with, of course, the M9 and the 1911. The 1911 was designed by John Moses Browning. It is a 45 caliber ACP cartridge. And then the M9 was designed by John Bianchi and Richard Nichols. The 1911 is of the U.S. origin, and the M9 is of the Italian origin. The 1911 was a whole new breed, really, of animal, because there wasn't really anything like it before it. But unlike the M9 has a lot of characteristics that look very similar to the Walther P38, which is a German pistol. It's kind of odd, but there's a lot of copycat type guns out there. Not saying they exactly copied the design, but it sure as fuck looks that way. Am I packing? Right? Or am I pocking? Ha. Okay. Lame joke out. So here they are. I don't have a camera person, so I do things like this. We have a WE M1911A1 Warrior, based off the Kimber Warrior. Gas blowback airsoft pistol, full metal. I felt like this was the 1911 that would best suit against the WE M9 Samurai Edge, gas blowback airsoft pistol, full metal, because they have a lot in common, although they are completely different. Like they both have the forward and rear cocking serrations. They both have the white dot sights. This used to have an ambi thumb safety, but to me, depending on how you use the gun, not saying I use it better than anybody else, I'm not saying that at all. That's just outrageous to say that. I don't find it difficult to use the thumb safety whether I'm righty or lefty. So to me, this is kind of like an ambi thumb safety as is, in essence. There's more to it. We won't be talking about rails, because either one can have a rail, and they have rail systems that you can attach to a pistol that is lacking a rail. So we won't be talking about that. Caliber, we won't even... Oh, and by the way, I failed to mention the Real Steel, because I did mention the 1911, the Real Steel 1911 is a 45 ACP cartridge, whereas the Real Steel M9 is a 9mm Parabellum cartridge. But anyways, moving onward. So yeah, caliber, because they're both 6mm airsoft. As far as ammo goes, being how I mentioned the caliber, we'll be using 6mm .20G Valken. Different type of ammo. Somebody's feeling frisky today. I just felt like looking at these and holding these two, that they would fit in competition. It would make more sense, as opposed to using like a GI 1911. I don't know. Who cares? Doesn't really matter. This functions no differently than any other 1911, so it doesn't really matter. single action pistol, which means the hammer has to be cocked one way or another for it to work, although it is semi-automatic. This is semi-automatic too, of course, but it is double action, which means you can just pull the trigger and the hammer does the work for you. They're both safety checked prior to the video. It's all good. The other thing is too, I guess I looked at, again, not that it really matters, but they both have extended guide rods. I don't know. I thought they really looked like cousins or something. Very much alike, but very much different. Four magazines of each type of pistol. Of course, the M9 has an advantage as far as capacity goes, but really I think before I go onward, I really believe that a lot of these arguments that people bring up are really just that. I don't think any of this is really factual, because I think it comes down to the user, what makes what brings comfort to the user, what brings confidence to the user. If 15 rounds is what makes you feel confident, then to each their own. If 7 rounds you feel confident and comfortable with that or whatever, and again, to each their own. It really doesn't matter as far as capacity, in my opinion. I mean, and you got a quick reload. There are some people out there that reload very quickly, and that does make a difference. That people will argue, but that is actually a fact. Yeah, if you're a quick reloader, it makes no difference. What also makes no difference is the accuracy. Your accuracy, should I say. Not the accuracy of the pistol. Of course, the accuracy of the pistol would make a difference, because that obviously one's less accurate than the other. Kind of like when people compare AK to an M16. But anyways, I don't want to go on a tangent. So we got 15 rounds and 4 magazines for the M92F. And then we have 1 8-rounder for the 1911 and 3 7-rounders. To me, again, capacity is no argument. There are some airsoft in real steel firearms out there that I would really prefer a short magazine, such as the C96. I prefer a short magazine on that, or 712, either or. There are people who have modified them or whatever to where, or companies have modified them to where, like the either early C96s could use a magazine, like a long stick magazine, should I say. AKs, I prefer short mags. I prefer short mags on the M16s, the AR, you know, that whole platform. I prefer short mags on those. It's less bulky, it's not as awkward, and I prefer to go prone when needed, and I feel like those extended or standard magazines tend to get in the way. Alright. So yeah, a little awkward, a little different, but whatevs. So who's going first? Jill or the Warrior? Let's do the M9. Some things I will say in the airsoft realm of design between these two. With this, one thing to me off the bat loses, and it's the hop adjustment system. The hop adjustment system for this pistol is you have to take a screwdriver and adjust a little screw. And that screw is so small, and if it falls, let's just say, unless you're lucky as hell, clear off the rest of your day as far as your schedule goes, because, yeah, been there, done that. Not too many times. But yeah, if you're not careful, that little screw will just, and if you adjust it too much, the screw will actually puncture through the hop rubber. That I have had happen. I'll admit it. Whatever. The hop adjustment on the 1911 is way better. It's just superior. Again, that's my opinion. It just uses an adjustment wheel. But we'll probably maybe talk more about that later. But since we got this double action going, double action trigger pull for me is quite long and heavy. This might be out of gas. Yes, it is. Way to start it out, dude. No, that's okay. That's okay, because now got one in a chamber. Got to do it some point in the video. Make sure these are all crisp. And remind me before I start using the 1911. Yeah, see, and this is why you keep gas in your magazines. That's a bad leak too because the O-ring is dry. This normally would irritate the shit out of me, but I'm kind of just feeling alright. So. Not a good start, dude. He'll be alright. It's not going to affect that much anyway. Make sure we get a little more lubricant in there. Please stand by. Alright. That's probably going to whistle the whole time, so... Oh. It's like, what else would interfere with what I'm trying to do here? Okay, moving forward. Didn't lock back, that's okay because this is not a magazine that was made by WE, so that's alright. Yep, 15 rounds, downrange. The recoil is mild as far as airsoft goes. It's just, it's there, but it's like, I guess because the gun is quite hefty, feels quite robust. Doesn't feel cheap at all. Well, the grips feel a little cheap, but anyways. So the recoil is very controllable. The sights are a little strange in my opinion, just the sight picture, because I guess the shape, or maybe I'm just used to 1911s. Spoiler alert. Oh, what? Anyways. Some things... Oh yeah, the trigger pull. The way this particular pistol works is if you start out double action, you could fire, the slide will come back and keep the hammer back. So after that, it's a single action trigger from there on out until you manually change that. So And that's about how much creep you have. A very positive reset. You can definitely feel it and hear it. It being a double stack magazine, the grip is quite bulky for me. So there's a few things ergonomically I don't agree with the M9 style pistol, and a lot of that just purely has to do with because I'm deformed. My mother smoked and drank a lot of coffee when I was in her fucking womb. So, well, then she's extremely short too. So, anyways, so yeah, a little bulky. I don't really like where the safety's at. Yeah, that's how small my hands are. So what I usually do is I use this finger usually to flip it down. But when I'm holding it like this, I just use my thumb to flip it up. And if I'm one-handed, I just use my thumb to flip it up. But it's kind of hard for me to flip it down. We'll fire another magazine. Let's get this leaky one out of here because it's fucking obnoxious. Wow, I didn't hit anything that time with that. I feel like the BBs, and these are clean, of course, you know. I feel like the BBs are like going to the right for whatever reason, and they were doing that yesterday. So, kind of inaccurate, I would say, just naturally. And it was doing that with my other ammo, my usual, the Evike Precisional .25Gs. And so I think that's just, I mean, you could definitely hit some with it. I mean, it's not hard. It's not horribly inaccurate. It's just a little inaccurate. Now we're going to break out the 1911. The 1911 design is much slimmer compared to the M9. You see the back straps? Okay. So right there is a plus for me, someone like me, again, small hands. It's a thin, slim grip. It fits better. It feels more like an extension to your hand as opposed to the M9. I mean, the M9 is very comfortable, even for me, but it doesn't feel as good as this. And, you know, slim grip means slim single stack magazine, 8 rounds in this one, as opposed to the 15. And some M9s hold 17. Some magazines, should I say, not the M9, but you know. You know, of course, there's extended mags, but I'm talking about standard mags. The standard mag is somewhere between 15 and 17. It's kind of strange, but anyways, moving on. Again, you know, similar slight picture, but although they're both white dots, again, the shape of these sights, just, I don't know, I'm more comfortable with it. I can pick it up a little bit better. The thumb safety is so easy for me to work. It's right there, and it also works as a thumb rest. It's single action, so the hammer has to be back, like I said before. So we do have to make sure the weapon is cocked. Mag catchers are both very easy to get to, so there's no complaints with the mag catch. As far as slide stops go, with these being WE Airsoft pistols, the 1911s never really had a slingshot feature, whereas the M9, as far as I can remember, far back, that it's always had the slingshot feature. Sorry. Missed a little bit there. Was a little out of focus because of my little stuttering fucking thing. But I'm not trying to make excuses, but I mean, you saw I did way better with that pistol first magazine than I did with this one. And it was just like, wow. I don't know, my eyes get kind of blurry. Again, can't slingshot it. I mean, later models you could, but I wouldn't advise it. I did a video on that, but see, it runs out twice as fast. The felt recoil is much punchier. And what I mean by that is that when you're firing the 1911 by WE, and you could really feel that slide, and you could feel a weight pushing in here against your tang. So it's a very nice, positive recoil. Although this has a little bit more recoil than the M9, it still feels very controllable. And some may argue, well, that's because you put an extended guide rod in there. And I will say that does pay a little bit, you know, tribute or contribution or whatever to recoil control, but not really that serious. Personally, I put that in there for aesthetics because I like the TLE and the Warrior, so I kind of wanted to combine look between the two. But anyways, I feel like again the sight picture is just, I don't know, the 1911 isn't winning by much right now, but you know, it's just a fact that when you get a pistol or any firearm or anything really, you want to be comfortable with it. If you're not comfortable using it, then what the fuck is the sense? You know, I'm not, like, I got small hands. You think my favorite pistol is gonna be fucking Desert Eagle? I had one and I didn't really care for it. Some little of it had to do with the ergonomics. I will admit, Desert Eagle's a pretty fucking gnarly gun. But like the AK, I've always been an AK guy until, I don't know, a few years ago, maybe further back than that. And then I became an M4 AR kind of guy. I feel like the M4 AR style rifles are more ergonomic for me. They're both awkward, but not like the AK to me is a lot more awkward because the way the mag release is nice. That's pretty cool. That's different. So that's not a problem there. I feel like the magazines are much longer. They're designed, they're very banana-like, hence the name Banana Clip. Whatever. But that, I don't know, the safety isn't for me either on the AK. So that is kind of happening here. This is kind of like the AR, and this is kind of like the AK. Yeah, M9's a very nice pistol. I used to like the M9 before I liked the 1911, even though I was introduced to a real 1911 when I was 5 years old. The magazine's still going. Add a little ambient sound. Is there something else I wanted to mention? What's field strip these? Let's compare how they field strip. Some more awkwardness, but it wouldn't be my channel without it. Let's start with the earlier product, the M9. I mean, the 1911. 100-year-old design. It was adopted by the Army in 1911, hence the name. And then this one came about in the 80s. And took its place in the armed forces of the U.S. But many still use the 1911. Many still prefer it. But anywho, there's more empty. Slide lock out. Turn this forward. I'm not going to explain how all this is done. I've done it so many times. Okay. And then you got the M92F Samurai Edge. Different, but really not. It's another thing people compare is, well, the 1911 is much more of a pain to field strip than an M9. I had zero effort doing either one, but again, this is why I think this comes down to opinion and the comfort of the user. Again, if you're used to it, it's nothing. I'm used to both, although, you know, it's really not that different. Neither one are complex. But I think when the Glock came around, that's when people really started getting kind of like, pardon the term, bitchy about field stripping. It seems like people just... It seems like people in the US are about fast food mentality. Meaning, they don't want to wait, they don't want to do shit, they don't want to fucking do anything, just pull up and get what the fuck they want and go kind of attitude, where it's like, things should just be easy as shit. Like, effortless. Huh? Made a boo-boo. Yeah, see? There I go, making the 1911 look bad. That was user error. It's not that serious. Oh, if you were in a gunfight. If I was in a fucking gunfight, I'd be taking cover somewhere. Not standing by a fucking table. Preparing for the future. Oh, she's nice and oily. Look at that. But, again, talking triggers, being how both of them just fired, this wins hands down. There's so many people out there that would agree. Not saying that a lot of people agree with you doesn't mean you're right. That's called a cult. Like, but it's like this. Here's your double action. Okay. That's not fair. You're comparing double action to single action. Of course, single action is going to have a lighter trigger. Oh, okay, fine. There's single action. Okay. This is only single action. And just to extinguish any BS about, you know, this being single action. Oh, you have to cock it before it's... Well, it was designed to be carry condition 1. Cocked, locked, ready to rock. You got your magazine, you got one in the chamber, you got the hammer cocked, and the thumb safety locked. That's the way it was designed to be carried. If you don't like that, then don't use it. Doesn't mean it's a piece of shit. Doesn't mean it's stupid. You know, it's talked quite a bit about the M9 that I'm not too fond about, but I don't think it's a piece of shit. I don't think it's stupid. It's called growing the fuck up and you know, be willing to hear other people's opinions about being bent out of shape about it. It's not a war. But here's your trigger pull. Only single action. So much lighter. The reset is so much quicker. This is a great reset. The trigger pull isn't horrible, but this is like a hair trigger. And it's, again, how 1911s are kind of designed. Especially the A1. When the A1 came out with the short trigger, they called that the hair trigger. A lot of people didn't like that trigger because it went off too soon. It was hard for a lot of people to anticipate when the gun was going to go off because it was actually so much different than the original 1911s, like say 1918. So there's your field trips. Neither one bothered me. I couldn't give a fuck about either one. I don't think they're that serious. So it's not like there's a competition there for me. So far, the 1911, its ergonomics, its design are what's bringing more to the table for me. Alright. So, oh, before, you guys didn't fucking remind me, before I fired the 1911, I didn't fill the magazines. What the fuck? It's fucked up. What you doing, dude? Come on, motherfucker, get out of here. Why? You're killing film time. Thanks. God, fucking transit. Alright. This magazine's still leaky. And here is another thing I want to bring to the table. As far as, you know, versus, you know, that's different from the real steel realm between the two models. Yeah, sure, you know, more capacity in a double stack. Again, 7 to 8, 15 to 17. Okay. But that gas reservoir, man, ew. You get a lot out of it. But here is the thing. Cooldown. Yeah, it's got to be brought up sometime in a video, otherwise it wouldn't be a fucking hammered Airsoft Smith film. Okay? But that makes a difference too. A lot of people feel when they have a lot more in the magazine, they can get a little more trigger happy and hope for the best. They call that spray and pray. Or pray and spray. Doesn't fucking matter. That's what it is though. Where you have a magazine that's less, you're like, oh man, I really gotta make these count. Not everyone thinks like that, so that's not a really good argument. But the reservoir does count if you have good or proper trigger control, trigger discipline, and you're not just acting like a fucking animal out there. Okay? Well, I shouldn't say that because I like animals a lot. Okay, it's this one. Alright. The M9. Right? Yeah, let's go back to the M9. one-handed. Wow. I feel like I did better one-handed with the M9 than I did two-handed. What the fuck? Okay. And then we'll do one-handed with this old girl. Ooh. Ooh. I made it look bad again. For shame. Shame on all of us. Shame on you fuckers for not reminding me. You know? That was a little fucked up. And shame on me. A few times. There's quite a few fuck ups in this video. Yep. What else is there to really compare? Oh, let's do some left-handed. Damn this safety. Not bad. What's awkward enough about it is that I feel like the 1911, WE 1911 compared to a WE M9 Samurai Edge, get lost, fucker, I feel like is much more accurate, but for some reason, I don't know. I'm computing. I felt like in this competition, the M9 did just fine without its other magazine. Not like it really made a difference in this video, because I didn't really, that shit didn't matter. But again, it still stands that the 1911 compared to the M9 here is indeed more accurate. The M9 does shoot to the right, where this one does, the 1911 does shoot straight, but it's trying to figure out how to hold with this one because the way the sights are. Not trying to make excuses. It's not an excuse. But what I'm getting at, dude, is that the 1911 actually shoots straight. It goes in one general area. I have to hold a little more to the left with the M9. Whereas this one, the 1911, I have to hold, see, I'm not even sure exactly where I have to hold with this particular one, between the hop and the Novak style sights. I feel like I have to, I feel like this shoots low, so I feel like I have to kind of aim high. even though the hop is so much more up, on the up position on this particular 1911. So, the verdict, I want to pick one, but they're really not that much different in the airsoft realm. Because again, we didn't have to compare calibers. So, you know, as far as caliber, stopping power, piercing, all that shit goes, you know. But there is one thing I'm glad okay, I got some. Design. Okay? And we're, again, talking about WE brand, being a little more specific here. Pistols, the 1911 and the M9. So this may not have anything to do with Tokyo Marori, KJ Works, but KJ, I had two KWA M9s, and they both cracked on me. Not literally cracked, like they fucking just, I've said it before, the M92F 3R that got dropped in the mud once. One fucking time, and that was done. There's too many fucking parts in that thing. Well, that's what the flaw was, because it got into areas where there was thin springs, and those thin springs just fucking snapped. Yeah. $300 later, $250. But anyways, well, there was other stuff I got with it. But moving on to the M9 by KWA, much better than the M93R, but that spring that sits, no better way to show. There's a spring that sits right in there. You can hardly see it. It's a shiny little ribbed piece right there where I'm pointing at. Those springs broke 3 times on me with the KWA. I didn't have it that long. And it was plastic. Not that... I'm just saying, it wasn't even a full metal gun. It was way more expensive than to say the HFC, and I'm going to bring up the HFC yet again, because this is relevant here. The HFC, Special Forces 1911 Select Fire Pistol, was full metal, and that's where some of these magazines came from. Well, 3 of them actually came from that gun, so yeah, I know I mentioned this too, but I'll mention here. Just a side note, HFC magazines do work in WE M9s. The HFC Special Forces never had anything break on it until at one point, I guess there was so much carbon or something built up in here in the back strap that it just fucked up everything in there, and I never really took that pistol apart. It was so long ago, I didn't give up on the pistol, I didn't throw it away. It eventually got stolen. But you know, that's what happens when you know, where you live and blah, 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 blah. But anyways, not getting on that. Yeah, that spring on that one never broke. Luckily, there are spare parts. But the principle of it is that spring shouldn't break that fast, that often. Especially if you have to pay money to get them back. I mean, really, they should come in like a pack of like 3. I don't know how they're made now. I've had this pistol for a while, but I have nowhere near as many rounds in it as I did the 3 other M9 style pistols that I mentioned by HFC and the 2 KWAs. And this spring is still stock. It's just a standard one from the factory. But I don't like that. I don't like that. I haven't dropped this in mud yet, so I don't know how it's gonna hold up. But I did drop the HFC one in mud. It's been in snow. It's been through hell and back. Very similar to my 15-year-old 1911 A1 by WE. It's been dropped in all kinds of shit like that, and it's never had a problem. It was poor maintenance on my part. I know that now because I never really knew how to take the M9 style missiles apart. I was worried about it. I didn't have internet back then, so it was kind of like it was just different. Anyways, but on this, on the 1911, the trigger relies on a leaf spring, and I've never had a leaf spring break. I have one that's like beat to shit, but it still works. So, much better design as far as the trigger goes. Field strips, I couldn't give a fuck going back to that. I couldn't care less. They do have much different slides. On the 1911, the only thing open is the ejection port. The rest of it is like a dust cover. It just covers everything up. So it's really difficult. There's not a whole lot of room for debris to get in there. And I remember this was even a speculation with the real steel guns in comparison, whereas this is all open. And it relies on this lug system. There's two lugs parallel from each other, and they move as the gun is racked. But I personally haven't had issues with stuff getting... I mean, stuff has gotten in there, but as easy as the thing is to field trip, I mean, you can get in there pretty quickly. If you have a carry-on cleaning bag like mine I did a review on recently, you have a brush on you, you could probably just brush the stuff out without having to even field strip it completely or at all. So that I don't know, that it's a speculation, but it hasn't yet to happen really. Whereas this, I've gotten stuff in there, but only if it's been submerged in something, like in mud, in nasty fucking sandy, grimy shit. You get that gritty, fucking nails on chalkboard, gritty, nasty sound that drives me up a wall. But again, easily cleared if you carry a cleaning kit on you. If you don't, then then that's a real thing. That's a real issue that you need to think about or put into consideration. Do I really want to have that problem and be left out in the dust? Well, that's not really the pistol's design flaw anymore. That's just you don't want to carry that on you. I know some people, if you game, your loadout may have too much. Maybe you should distribute the weight, in a sense, or there are smaller little carry kits, cleaning carry kits, like very small that you could put like in a cargo pocket or something, flak jacket pocket, whatever. But I really do advise that when you do go out anywhere, game or you plank like I do, bring some sort of cleaning kit or whatever with you, because you don't want to be stuck out there like, oh fuck, now I gotta go home, or now this pistol is out of action. Another difference in design is the 1911 has a half cock. The half cock on this pistol is faulty. I've went over that recently. But the way the gun is designed is that you can rack it and then have the hammer on half cock. So when you draw the pistol, see, my hammer just dropped without even doing anything. Again, I went over this in another video. But it's designed to be drawn and then you cock the hammer and then fire. But that's not really safe anyway, whether your half cock is faulty or not. This has a half cock, but it doesn't really, I feel like it doesn't really make a difference in anything. I feel like the trigger pull is exactly the same as if it wasn't cocked at all. Yeah, it's exactly the fucking same. I mean, if there is a difference, I can't tell. So, I mean, both are great. It's a tie to me, and I don't want to look like that guy, but it is what it is. Without being personal or biased. If I'm gonna have a personal or biased opinion, the 1911 wins completely, hands down. I mean, the 1911 was winning for me because of, again, ergonomics. It feels very comfortable and pointable. It feels like an extension of my hand, and everything is where I need it. Nothing is. I don't have to stretch to do anything. I mean, with the thumb safety, because there is no slingshot feature, you do have to manually use the thumb safety, but the way I'm used to it, it's almost like I am slingshotting. I know a lot of times people are like, oh, you're slingshotting a WE. You know, mine doesn't do that, but I'm like, I'm not slingshotting a WE 1911. I'm actually just racking the slide all the way back, then pushing the thumb safety down and letting it go home. I have to adjust my grip slightly, but it's still a lot less than, say, if I was going to manually use it, because my thumb comes nowhere near that slide stop. Or if I rack it from the top, I'll grab the slide, bring it all the way to the rear, and simultaneously push this down and then let it go home. So quickly, it just looks like I'm like, so this, the M9, the thumb safety, the slide stop is actually very, it's kind of far away, but I can actually use it if I adjust a little bit. So if I put a magazine in, but that kind of goes out the window. If I'm reloading and I'm using two hands, I don't have to change my grip. I just put a magazine in and just... But that also gets defeated because you can slingshot it. Put a magazine in, grab the slide, and let it go home, like so. So the slingshot feature is very nice. It's more ergonomic feeling. So maybe that's one of the things that, to me, the M9 brings a little bit more. You know, in essence, I'm trying to explain how it's a tie. I mean, overall, this is a much more ergonomic pistol. I do feel like it's more accurate as well. It shoots straight. This one shoots to the right yet again. You know, I say that 3 times now. But the safeties are a little odd, but, you know, slingshotting, the heavier trigger pull, light trigger pull. I mean, they both bounce and collide back and forth so often in my mind about, like, their uses and their functionality and or, you know, their designs or whatever, that they just are leveled in comparison, in my opinion, especially in the airsoft realm. But overall, it's got to be the 1911. So, all right, everybody, thanks a lot for watching. Little fucking weird video, right? A little bit. I mean, it was weird how, you know, I've had some issues, like this mag decided to leak the whole fucking time, but I didn't really need it anyway. It made no difference. So like I shot 4 magazines in a row, like one after another, or anything like that, so that made no difference. And that was just me not... I thought they all had gas in them, but that's user error. There's a few fucking fuck-ups in there, but... bleep, 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 MTV. Alright. Bye. Thanks for watching. High power. Peace.